Good morning, everyone. In the last session, we discussed about the important concept to call the contains method, index of method, as well as remove related method we discussed here. So today we'll continue the another important methods here. Okay. So basically, what we can understand here, what we can understand here. So whatever the collection related methods. So here you can see we discuss about the remove method and contains all method. So contains all basically what is expecting the parameter? It is expecting the parameter of this particular collection. So collection in the sense we need to pass a multiple values as a parameter. Okay. So this we will discuss later. First we'll focus on the single object parameters methods. Okay. Now here you can see clear. So what exactly the clear method will do now? What exactly the clear method will do now? Now here you can see I'm commenting out this particular piece of code here, and here so I'm trying to provide the array list dot clear method. Okay, array list dot clear method. So how this array list dot clear method is implemented internally, and what is the purpose of this particular clear method? So clear method basically it will remove the object from this particular collection. So which collection it is going to remove the object from this particular array list. Getting pen. So whatever the object we are trying to add, so those objects are going to be removed here. So instead of removing the one by one at a time, if I want to remove all at once, we can call this particular clear here. So now if you see, here I'm calling the size method, and after calling the clear method, again I'm trying to print the size method. Now you can see the size method result here. You can see the size method result here. So what is the result we are getting initially? The size we are having 3. So we inserted 3 records. So after that, whenever I'm after calling this particular clear method, now if I'm going to be called the size method, what are the values we are getting here? 0. What are the values we are getting? 0. So this is what we need to understand regarding this particular clear method. Now we'll focus on the internal implementation of this particular clear method. So what we identified here, the clear method basically it will remove the object all at once here. Okay. Now here you can see what we are doing. So element data. We observe here this element data, it is going to be stored the array list related values. So array list internally, it is using the object array to store the values here. Okay. So this is what we need to understand here. Now another important section here, we are loading the entire objects here. How many objects we are having? 3 objects. Okay. So not only 3, if you are inserting multiple objects also, what it will do based on this particular for loop. Okay, based on this particular for loop, now what exactly it will do, it will keep on making the respective object as a null. Getting the pen. So here what is the ES? ES is a object to object array reference variable. Now this object array reference variable contain the 3 objects. So each and every object it resides with the index location. So based on this particular index location, the objects are going to be stored here. Now 0, 1, 2. In the 3 index location, we store the values. Now whenever we are trying to make a null, what we are doing is, so this particular I, what is the I? Now this is the I, it will play as a index role here. This particular I now will play as a index role. So what I'm doing is, yesterday we discussed, after the equal, if I'm trying to providing anything, so in the respect to index location, it is going to be replace the value. So currently, how many values we are having? Now this is important here. Currently, how many values we are having? Now here I'm trying to write here, the first one is 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3. So the last one is something like 7, 8, 9. So as of now, we did not insert it. So still this particular object will contain the null here. Now you can make the 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So these are the original values. But whenever I'm making the null, what happens basically? So this original value, it is going to be replaced with null here. So same, it is going to be replaced with all the values. Getting the point? Now, so we don't have any record. Now, if you are able to see this particular the object array, all the values will contain the null. All the values will contain the null. The null values we cannot see here. Only X, other than this particular null values, whatever the values we are going to have, so those informations we are able to see under this particular object array. Okay, so now what you understand here, this particular line number 685, the 685 basically what is doing it, it's trying to overriding the original value with null here. Okay, so yesterday we discussed already. Now whenever I'm trying to work with the ES of I, what we are doing is in the index, what is the I? So the I will play as a index role. Based on this particular index role, now we are trying to load the specified object here. Okay, so at the same time, if you're trying to providing something, for example, here I'm having, so equal 456. In the particular index location, for example, I value I given as a 10. Okay, so up to this ES of I, like what exactly we are trying to do here, ES of I, ES is a object array reference variable, and I will play as the index role. So finally, so this object, it look like this, ES10. Okay, because I value 10. So in the ES10, whatever the object we are having, we are going to be load. And at the same time, now what I am doing here, so again I'm trying to write here. So here, inside the same ES10, here I'm trying to make the, so something like a 456. So what exactly it will do? The original object, it is going to be replaced with this particular 456. Okay, let's say, so this is the original object. Earlier I have 125. Now the 125, it is going to be replaced with this particular 456 here. Okay, but here what I'm doing, whenever I'm trying to work with this particular piece of code, it is going to load only the 125. It is not going to be replaced. When it is going to be replaced, whenever we are making the equal, after the equal, whatever the value. Okay, so same thing, it is applicable here. Same thing, it is applicable here. So what we are doing, original object we are having. So these are the original object. So even though we are having the original object, whenever we are calling the clear method, the original objects are replaced with a null here. The original objects are replaced with a null. Now you can see into size is equals to 2 we are initializing, and at the same time, so size as well as and I variable. All the values we are making as a 0. Getting the point? I value 0. Along with that, size value also we are making as a 0 here. Now here we are making the condition I less than 2. What is the 2 value? 3. Because here, whatever the size value we are having, we are initializing into this particular 2 variable. So finally, you can see only 2 objects we'll see now. Now if you open this particular ES, you'll see only 2 objects. Why we are seeing only 2? Because the first object we initialized with the null here. Whenever we initialize with the null, the respective object, it is not going to be shown here. Okay, so and at the same time, what we can understand here, second object, and this is the third object. So all the objects are initialized with the null. Now you can see, so you will not see any objects here. All objects are, we provided null values. So here clearly saying all elements are null. So whenever the all elements are null, the null values, it is not going to be shown, but only it will show the not null related values. Not null related values. So this is what we need to understand here. Okay, so thus now once we come out of this, now what you understand here, the entire element data, now we are having null. Okay, the entire element data, now we are having a null here. So this is a way we are removing all the objects. So because whenever we are making the whenever we are trying to remove the object from the array list, the size will become true, and if you call this particular is empty. Okay, after this particular size I'm calling, and after clear also I'm trying to call this particular is empty. Now run the same example now. Okay, size is 3 and false. Size is 0, we are getting true. When the size is 0, is empty, it is trying to return as a true. When the size is not 0, the is empty, it is trying to return as a false. Okay, so this is what we need to understand regarding this particular clear method. So clear is simple. Basically, it will try to remove all the objects from this particular collection means array list here. Okay, so this is what we need to understand here. Now, another important section, equals method. So what exactly the equals method is doing now? What exactly the equals method will do now? So to understand this, first what we will do, we'll try to write a equals implementation. We'll try to discuss about the equal implementation here. Okay, so now you can see, so we are calling the equals method. Now here we are having a equal method implementation. So what we are passing? Object parameter. Okay, so this is also same. Okay, this method is coming from the where? Collection interface. So here you can see the public interface collection. Now we are trying to discuss about the equals method here. Now here, what you need to understand here, what we are checking? The parameter. Okay, the parameter and current object. This means current object. If both are equal same, so double equal operator basically what it will do, we already discussed in the previous example. So it will compare the object reference. Let's see, now I'm having P1, the reference basically person at the rate 421. Okay, and one more object. So P2. Now here, this is also same person object. But here, instead of this particular 421, now I'm trying to pass as a 412. So this is, we'll call it as a reference here. This is the P2 reference and this is the P1 reference. This is the P1 reference. So whenever we are checking like this, P1 equals to P2. So both objects are same? Both objects are same? Not. So this particular condition will return as a false here. So why it will return as a false here? Because here it will check the references. Because the first object reference 421, the second object we are having 412. So both the references are different. When the both object references are same, then only this double equal operator will return true. Okay, so now that is we need to understand. Here also we are checking the same. If the both objects are same, it will return true. Otherwise we are checking instance of basically. So what exact it will do? So it is going to check the type here. Okay, it is going to check the object type here. So this is important here. Now I created the person object. So I want to check whether the object I created, it is a person object or it is a some member related object here. So how we are going to be checked basically using this particular keyword called instance of. Instance of basically what exact it will do? Just it will check the O, whatever the object we are having, if the type. Okay, type is important. The type basically it is a class type. What exactly the object type we are having? So if it is a list here, if it is a list here, it will enter. But here, what is the condition we are making basically? Okay, what is the condition? Not condition. If it is not a list, will return false. Why we are making if it is not a list? Because this method, this equals method, we implemented under the array list here. So here you can see, this is the class, array list class. So inside the array list only, we implemented this particular equals here. So because of this, now we are checking the list interface, because list interface is the top level interface for this particular array list here. Getting the point? So because of this, we are checking the instance of keyword. Now if it is not a list, we are returning false. So otherwise, what we are doing basically, here you can see, here mark count we are checking. Okay, and here we are checking the o dot get class is equals to array list class, and so if it is equals, this particular piece of code returns true, this will return the equal array list. Otherwise, it will go to the range. Range means, so the particular sizes information it is going to be checked. Like it will try to work with each and every object comparison. It will try to work with each and every object comparison. Okay, so we'll see what exactly this equals method internally it is going to be implemented here. Okay, now understand here. Now I'm going to be call this particular, these three I'm going to be removed. Okay. Now here I'm going to be call the equals method. Array list dot equals of, what is the object we can pass here? So I'm passing 632. I'm passing 632 here. So we can call this particular equal, so that we can easily understand the internal implementation of this particular equals method. Now we are at equals method. So I'm trying to debug this equals method, how it is implemented and how it is functioning. Now here you can see, so wo we are checking. What is the wo contains? 632 value here. Okay. Now, so this particular type here. Now here you can see, so what exactly the wo contain here? The wo contain the, this is a type here. Basically, it is time to converting into the bytecode. So because of the bytecode, we are unable to see the object reference here, but current object here you can see. So this is a current object. Okay, this is the current object we are having. We are having 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, and the parameter we are passing as is 632. Okay, so it is not matching. So the condition itself, it is suggesting this condition is false here. So we'll go to the next condition. We'll go to the next condition. So what we are doing basically, okay, what we are doing basically here, whatever the wo we provided, the wo basically it is a string type. Whatever the wo we provided, basically it is a string type. Now what we need to understand basically here, we need to understand if it is not a list here, so we are trying to return as a false. Now you can see the condition is satisfied. Now we are returning this particular false value. So why we are returning false here? Because here we are checking the list, the object type, it should match with the list here. If it is not matching with the list here, it will return false here. It will not match with this particular condition. So now observe carefully. So we are returning false. Now whenever we are calling this particular equals method, what exactly it is doing? It is trying to return as a false. So let's see. Now I'm going to give 4, 5, 6. Even if I'm giving the 4, 5, 6 also, the condition will become false here. The condition will become false here. So now you can see, again I'm checking here, the first condition you can see. So second condition also we are trying to return as a false here. But what you understand basically here, this object already existed. Okay, the same object we provided into this particular array list. But whenever we are trying to call the equals method, why it is returning false? It should be written as a true here, because this array list equals method basically it is expecting array list related object, not a string related. Okay, to pass this particular information, now what we can do here, we can pass the new array list. Here we can pass this particular new array list. So now observe carefully. The same example again I'm trying to debug with equals method here. Now you can see. So equals method. Okay, first it will go to the constructor and now call the equals method. Now you can see. So here we are getting the false condition. Okay, here we are getting the false condition. So why we are getting the false condition? Because whatever the O we provided, it is a array list type. Getting the point? It is a array list type here. So whenever we are having array list type, the condition it is returning false here. Okay, now it will not satisfy this particular piece. So it is coming to the below piece code. So finally, what you understand here, whenever we are trying to work with the equals method, so we should provide the array list object related information, not the other object. Because if you are providing the other object, every time we'll get as a false only. So we need to, whenever we are trying to work with this array list equals method with a different type of condition, now what we need to do here? So we need to work on the array list object as the parameter. So we observe here now mod count. What is the mod count currently? 3. Okay, so this is basically expected mod count. Now O dot get class and equals to array list. So what you understand here? So both the get classes it will return as array list only. array list only. So here you can see, so to understand this o dot get class, okay, so we'll go to the evaluation. Now here you can see class java dot util dot array list, java dot util dot array list. So we are passing the same array list, so it will matching. Once it is matching here, equals array list. So what we are doing is, we are calling a one method called equal array list here. Okay, equal array list. So what exactly the array list will do now? This array list will do basically, this array list basically will do, let me go and check this particular method, how it is implemented. Now understand, this is a other array list we are passing. Now we are working with the current object. Now each and every object we are checking here. Each and every object we are checking. So then only we are providing the information. So the array list is equals to the another array list or not here. Okay. So other dot mod count. So other dot mod count basically 0, because we did not insert like we did not work with any values as of now. We did not insert any one record. So the mod count will become 0. Okay. So the other mod count 0, and here expected mod count is 3, and here you can see size 3 and boolean equal. We declared one flag here. Now what we are doing here, so equal, we are initializing based on this particular condition. So size equals to other dot size. Okay, size we are having 3, but other dot size we are having 0. So this will not satisfy. This will not satisfy. When it is not going to be satisfied, it is going to the other checksum. Okay, so it is coming out of this particular entire condition. This particular piece of code, it is not satisfied because of the first condition. So we come out of this. Now what we can do, other dot check for modification. Other dot check for the modification. We are passing this particular other mod count here. Now we need to, okay, we need to call this particular method. So we'll see what exactly it is doing. If the mod count not equals to expected mod count. Mod count, how much we are having? 0. Expected mod count basically 0. Okay, so whenever we are having this, now what exactly it will do? It will throw an exception. But in our case, we are not going to get, because both values we are having zeros. Okay, so finally, what we understand is, we are trying to return as a false here. We are trying to return as a false here. So this is what we need to understand here. This is what we need to understand. So carefully observe, whenever we are trying to work with this particular equals method, first what we observe here, we need to work on the array list related information, not the other objects here. The first point. Second point, now whenever we are trying to work with this particular array list, if you provide the proper size, okay, if you provide the proper size for both object, then it will try to return as a some true or false condition. If the size we are having different, now we will get as a false. Now you will get as a false. So because of this particular condition, this is very important here. If the both sizes are not same, so simply we are trying to return as a false here. So whenever both the sizes are true, so we are doing some additional operation here. Now we are checking it, and we are trying to providing the false or true values here. Okay, so we'll see what exactly this particular object will do now. Okay, now what I'm doing here, before calling this particular equals here, so here I'm going to be pass this particular remove this. Here I'm providing the list here, and I'm copying the same object here. I'm copying the same object, and here, okay, now here I'm going to be pass list here. Okay, don't confuse here. Here we created the two objects. Okay, first one is array list we created. Second one we created list. and array list we added 3 objects, and list also I added 3 objects. Now here we are having 2 different objects. Now I'm calling the array list dot equals of this particular list here. Okay, list also it is a array list type here. Getting the point? Now I will run the same example. So we'll see now what exactly it will do now. I'm calling the list method. Now we are coming to this O. So here you can see the O object reference is different. So array list at the rate 702, and here you can see that this, so this is a 701. Getting the point? Here only it is suggesting array list at the rate 701, the current object, and the parameter what we have passed here, it is a 702. It is a 702. So this is what we need to understand here. Now after this, what I'm trying to check basically here I'm checking the O instance of this particular list here. If it is not a list, it will return the false. But in our case, both object we pass as a list only. Okay, so it will not satisfy. Now we are coming to this. Now expected mod count. Expected mod count 3. Now here, so we observe this particular condition will satisfy. O dot get class equals to array dot list here. It will satisfy. Now after this, what we can understand here, equals array list. Okay, equals array list. Now whenever I'm calling this equal array list, so what exactly it is doing is other dot mod count. So what is the other dot mod count we are getting? The other dot mod count we are getting as a 3. Okay, so here you can see other dot mod count we are getting as a 3. Now the size, what is the size we are getting? Size also we are getting as a 3. Now, okay, so this is important now. This particular condition is very important. Basically, it should match the size of the both objects. Okay, so here you can see other dot size we are having 3. Other dot size we are having 3. Other dot size means the parameter, whatever the equal parameter we are passing it, the particular array list object size we are having 3, and current object. So current object, how we are differentiating? Size here. Okay, other dot size is different, size is different. So we are checking these two. So it is satisfying. Now whenever this particular size satisfy the equal, we are initializing one flag. What is the flag we are initializing? True. Equal flag we are initializing true. Okay, now we are loading the element data. Element data we are loading. So other dot element data. Now this is the element data, current objects. So here we are loading the other object records and current object records. Now what I am doing after loading, here we are checking. Yes, what is the S basically? Size here. So greater than ES dot length. If the size is greater than this particular ES dot length, or so other ES dot length, if any one of the length it is greater than to this particular size here, so what exactly it will do? Will get an exception. Basically we are checking the length and size. Basically it should match. If the any size or length it is not matching, okay, so what we'll understand basically, so some of the records are more compared to this particular size here, so then we'll get an exception. But in our case all are matching, so most of the cases the length and size we are going to be get same value here. Okay, now you can see, so we are coming out here. What I'm doing is every time I'm checking if the particular object is not satisfied. Okay, if the particular object is not equal, now we are calling the objects dot equals method. Object dot equals method. If it is not satisfied here, it is trying to return as a false. But in our case, each and every object it is going to be satisfied. So what we understand here, we are trying to return as a true. We're trying to return as a true. So this is what the equals method internally implemented. This is very important to the equals of this particular array list. Not only this particular array list, this same equals method it is implemented in the each and every implementation class. So each class it is going to have different implementation. Okay, but what we understand here in the array list is first it is going to be check the both object references are same. If the both are same, it will try to return as a true. And the second one, if the object type, it is not an instance of this particular list here, simply it will return true. Simply it will return false here. So if these two conditions are not satisfied, now what it will do? It will go for the size. Okay, it will go for the size, and it will go for the second condition, each and every objects. It will check on the each and every object. So this is what we need to understand here regarding this particular equals here. Okay, any questions? Anyone having any questions here? Okay, so if you don't have anything, now hash code. So hash code is a simple method. Basically, internally it will use a additional library to call to generate this particular hash code here. Now here you can see what I am doing. So mod count, the expected mod count we are calling, and hash code range. So 0 and size. Now what I am doing here? Now call this particular hash code range. So what exactly we are doing here? This is the logic. It is going to be generate the hash code. This is the logic. It is going to be generate this particular hash code. Now here you can see the hash code we are having one for the each and every object. What we are doing is 31 multiplied with this particular hash code, and plus if the E is null, we are returning 0. So otherwise it will try to call the object dot hash code. So the object dot hash code, what is the value we are returning? So this particular value at randomly it is going to be generated, and it will add to this particular whatever the 35 multiplied with this particular hash code here. Okay, so we'll do this, what exactly the hash code will do now. Now let me run the same example. Okay, I'm calling the hash code method. So expected mod count 3, the expected mod count is 3. Now I'm calling the hash code range here. So hash code range basically what exactly it is doing? So it is working with a loop here, because for each and every object it is going to be generated the specified hash code here. So this is the for loop, which is going to be repeated multiple times until the condition will fail. So now you can see. Okay, so here we are having, now I'm loading the value of 456, value of this particular 456. Now here you can see 35 multiply the hash code. So what is the result we are going to be get? 31 only, because the hash code we declare as a 1 here. The hash code we declare as a 1 here. Now here this is important. If the E equals to null, now what is returning? It is returning false here, because the E we are having 456 here. Here you can see the E value we are having 456. Okay, now so in the string class we are going to be generate the hash code of this particular 456 here. Now we'll call this particular E dot hash code here. So what is the value is returning? Now you can see what is the value it is returning? 51669. 51669. So how it is returning? To understand this, now what we need to do, go to the string class. Go to the string class. So why we are going the string class? Because here, what is the type we provided here? String here. Okay. What is the type we provided? String here. So because of this, now we need to understand the hash code of this particular string class. So here you can see I'm putting a breakpoint here. Now whether it will call or not, now we'll debug. Okay. So from where we are now, we are under the string class. Now we are under the string class. So string class hash code it is calling. String class hash code it is calling. Now here you can see what is the hash code by default? 51669. Okay. Now this is the h value. If the h value is 0 or value dot length, so this particular condition it is going to be satisfied. this particular condition, it is going to be satisfied. But h value, what is the value we are getting basically? So some value we passed here. So because of that, it is not going to be 0. So simply we are trying to return as a h. The h we are having 51669 here. Now the result, what we understand, this is the hash code of 51700. 51700. So second one, how many objects we are having? Totally 3 objects. So this is the second object. So it will generate the hash code. Again it is coming. Hash code is 0. So if the hash code is 0, now what we are doing is, this condition is satisfied. We are doing the different operation. So finally we are getting the hash code 48690. 48690. Now it is appended to, like, added to this particular existing value. Now this is the last iteration. Now you can see hash value 0. Again it is satisfying. Now it is doing the 54648. Now it is appending. Now finally this is the bigger hash code we are returning. This is the bigger hash code. But how it is returning? This is important. How it is returning? So this hash code basically, it is depends on the which generic type we are using. This hash code basically which generic type we are using, because in the here in the this particular example we provided the generic type as a string. We are providing generic type as a string here. Now, so I will suggest one more example here. So what is the value we are going to be get here? What is the value we are going to be get here? Now here, to understand this, now what I will do, I'm going to create a one class called person. Okay. So this is the person ID, name of the person. So we can go for the email. Okay. Only just 3 fields. Just 3 fields. Now here, what I'm doing here, a constructor. So constructor we can do here, and getters and setters here. Okay. So now I created this. So finally, what I'm doing here I'm trying to providing equivalent hash code also. Equivalent hash code. So what is saying here? So you can use the, what is the version? So I'm going to use the Java 7 version here. Now I'm calling the next. Based on this particular 3 fields, I'm going to make a condition. For the hash code also I will do the same concept here. So select all the not null fields. Okay, now you can see this is the equals method is generated and hash code here. So what exactly this hash code method is doing now? Based on this particular, it is going to be generate the arrays.hash code. Arrays.hash code here. So this is the result we are going to be get. Finally, it will call this particular result here. It will call this particular result and it will print the respective hash code. So go to this particular person. Now we generated this particular ID, name, email. Okay, now I am going to create one more object here. Otherwise, we can go for the array list demo 2 main method. So array list object here. Now here I'm passing person. Okay, so I'm keeping array list here, new array list. So default constructor I'm calling it. Now array list dot add method. Array list dot add method. Now here what I need to do, I need to call the new person. ID I'm giving 1 2 3, and the name I'm going to give, so something like Kumar, and email. So email.com. Okay. So this is the first object. Okay, 3 objects. Now what I will do, I'm going to be change the IDs. I'm going to be change the IDs and the name also I'm going to be changed. So something like a second person I'm giving as a something like a Ramesh and some 3 objects I created. Okay, 3 objects I created. Now if you see here, array list dot hash code I'm calling. Array list dot hash code. If you observe carefully, this hash code it is going to generate it based on these 3 objects. Based on the 3 objects. So why it is generating based on this particular 3? Because for each object we are generating the hash code, and the hash code we are appending. Okay, the hash code we are appending here. So this is what we need to understand here. Now I'm going to be call this hash code. If you observe, the hash code will call this particular method. The line number 50. Okay, the line number 50 hash code it is going to be called. Now, if I'm going to be run this particular example in the debug mode, from where it is calling, so this is the line number. Array list dot hash code. Array list dot hash code it is calling. Now where we stuck here? Now here you can see we are under the person class. We are under the person class hash code it is calling. Okay, objects dot hash code here. Right? Now here we need to understand here what is the hash code it is returning. What is the hash code it is returning? Now you can see. So this is some bigger minus value we are getting, minus 588 to 38 to some bigger value we are getting here. Okay. So now we need to understand here how exactly it is implemented. If you are not interested this, you can override the whatever the hash code we are having. Okay. So just keep this. Just keep this particular value and you can return the specified hash code. You can specify this particular hash code here. Now what exactly it is doing this particular, these are the values we are passing based on the 31 and the result. So we are going to do this some objects information. So what I will do, I'm going to be copied this and here I'm going to be changed instead of this particular hash code. So you can do the whatever the logic you want to do. You can do the whatever the logic you want to do here. Now here in place of this particular 31 result, and what I will do here, I'm going to be provided the ID. Okay, here I'm going to provide the ID here. If the ID so equals to null, I will return 0, and here I'm going to be change the ID. Or else we can go for the name here. We can go for the name here. Name dot hash code. Okay, so this is a result we are having. Now this result okay, it will keep on calling the hash code, right? We can return this particular result. Okay, so now we can remove this piece of code. So this is we can do now. Now explicitly what I did, so I only replaced the particular logic here. So based on the name, now I'm trying to generate the hash code. Okay, so if I'm going to print this particular hash code, if I'm going to print this particular hash code here, you will get the different result. So this is the result we are getting, because here Based on the each and every object. Based on the each and every object, it will call the hash code and it will construct the hash code and it will try to return the respective hash code here. So to understand, we can run in the debug mode. So we can see this particular section of code, how it is implemented here. Okay, from where it is calling? From here it is calling hash code method, it's calling, and internally it is going to this. So result, now the result, this is the result we are getting, and one more time it will call, because 3 times it will call. So first object, so second object, now we are under the Ramesh. Okay, so third object, now you can see Raju. So 3 objects we created. The each and every object, it will call the hash code and it will construct the respective hash code here. Now finally it is printing, this is the message. Finally it is printing this particular message, because internally it will call from here. It will call from this particular hash code. Okay, it will call from this particular hash code. So whatever the logic we provided, so explicitly I added this. For each and every object, it will construct the result and it will go to here. It will go to here, it will add this and it will call the next constructor. So next hash code method. Getting it? So this is a way we can create a hash code dynamically. So whatever the logic we want to construct it, we can construct here. But normally you can see, so it is multiplying with the 31 and the current hash code, and so whatever the object type we provided, the hash code it is going to be called. This is also important here, because in the real-time application, so explicitly only will provide the hash code mechanism. Okay, this is the hash code will give you the object is a same object or the object is it is a new object. It is a unique object. Okay, so using these two equals and hash code, we can easily understand here the objects. Whenever we are comparing, the object is same or the object is different here. So this is what we need to understand here. So any questions regarding the equals and hash code method? Okay, so if we don't have anything now, so what are the methods are finding from this particular collection interface here? So these are the collection related object. So if we understand here, what we can do, we'll call the one important method here. Like let's say contains all. So yesterday we discussed here contains all internally. What exactly it is doing? It is calling the index of. So index of basically what exactly it will do? Whenever we are providing the parameter, okay, the object whether it is existed or not. If it is existed, we'll get the positive value. If it is not existed, we'll get the negative value called -1. So whenever we are getting the -1, the contains method will return false. Whenever we are getting the positive value, the contains method basically it will try to return as a true. Okay, so that is we understand in the earlier section. So in the yesterday class, but now, so what exactly the contains all will do? So it's a simple one. Contains all basically it will internally will call the same contains method. This contains all basically internally it is going to use the important concept to call loop here. Within the loop it is going to be called again. Okay, so we'll see this how this contains all method is implemented. Array list dot contains all, and here what I'm doing is, let me copy this. Okay, here we are having it. So remove this array list object here. Now, so I change to the string here. Okay, contains all list I'm passing. Now observe carefully. Here the list basically it is a collection of objects. Collection of object means we are having multiple records. Now the particular object reference. So list is a reference variable of this particular array list. Now I'm passing the reference variable. This reference variable currently contain these 3 objects. Okay. Now if we want to check the contains, single object, we can call the contains method. But whenever we want to work with the multiple object, like I have around 10 or 15 records here, I want to check these 15 records are available in the existing collection or not. So what we can do, we can create a two array list like this. This is the first array list and this is the second array list. Okay. Now using this particular first array list, this object, the three, whatever the newly created three objects, these three objects are existed into this particular existing array list or not, we need to check now. Okay, if it is existed, it will return true. Otherwise, it will not return true here. Okay, now let me put a breakpoint here. Now I'm running in the debug mode so that we can understand here how this contains all method it is going to be implemented here. Contains all. Now I'm calling the internal method of this particular contains all. So now you can see this is the for loop. Okay, this is the for loop we are having. Now here you can see if which method we are calling internally, the same method whatever we discussed yesterday, contains method. Now we are passing the same object parameter, but here this contain method which is going to be called within this particular for loop. So how many object we are having based on the object, so this contains method it is going to be called. In our case we have a three object, so three times the contains method it is going to be called. Okay, so whenever the contains method it is return false, it will go for this, otherwise it will try to return as a true. So first time we are checking here, if the contains not satisfied, simply return false here. If the contains it will satisfied, it will go for the next iteration. That is also will satisfy, it will go for the next iteration. So this is the way it is going to be check this particular conditions here. This is the way it is going to be check the condition. Now you can see, so what I'm doing is we are calling the content, and what is the value we are passing? 4 5 6. Now go to this contains, again internally same index of range and element data. What is the element data we are having? Now the data we are having, so person object. Okay, person object, because so this is the parameter we called here. This particular object reference only we are calling contains all here. Now we observe this, if the object is null, this is the condition, otherwise else condition. Yesterday we debugged this. Now what I'm doing here, I'm checking the object here. Now it is not returning anything, so simply -1 -1 index of will return -1. This particular condition will return false, here. So this is the way the particular contains all it is going to be work. It's a simple contains all, add all, remove all, return all. So it is going to be called internally for each loop or for loop. Based on the loop, the same method. If the contains all, contains method, and add all, add method, remove all, remove method, and retain all. So we have a retain method. So that is also it is going to be called here. So we'll see this particular the retain section in the tomorrow session here. Okay. So most of the methods we are having single method as well as multiple parameteral method here. So basically what we can understand here we can easily understand contains all internally based on the for loop contains method, add all method internally based on the for loop add method, so remove all internally based on the for loop remove method. So only this retain will do the some different implementation. So that is we'll discuss in the tomorrow session, and except this particular method we discuss the most of the method. Okay, we have two methods, so these two also we need to discuss here. These two also we need to discuss here. So once the three methods are completed, we are much understandable the collection related methods, how it is implemented under the array list class. Because so array list is having a different implementation. If you go to the set related, it is having the different implementation. If you go to the queue, it is going to have different implementations here. So we need to understand the each and every implementation here. So then we can easily understand the collection interface methods, how each implementation class is implemented here. Okay, so we'll continue tomorrow. So mostly we'll try to complete the tomorrow the array list related information. So we'll work with another important implementation class. Okay. So any questions? So still any questions regarding our today's session? So if not, we'll continue tomorrow.